not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie is this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids.
What they have told us about Lance Twiggs. Obviously, we're going to go over this indictment. This kind of came up in the umpteenth hour. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. There's more going on here. Very clearly, there's more going on here. So you can join us here at
Leave us. Was Charlie Kirk's death the act of a lone 22-year-old, or the biggest betrayal in conservative politics? Was the real enemy outside his home, or sitting right beside him? The official story says justice is being served. But Candace Owens insists the truth is still buried, darker, deeper, and far more dangerous. And if she's right, what we know now isn't the ending. It's only the beginning. When the indictment against Tyler Robinson finally dropped, many expected closure. 7 charges, including aggravated murder. Prosecutors even announced they'd seek the death penalty. On paper, the story looked tied up. But Candace refused to let it end there. She shared the indictment with her followers, but her caption flipped the script. This feels like part of the story, not the full story. That one sentence cracked the door wide open again. If Robinson wasn't acting alone, who else had blood on their hands? And why did the indictment feel so neat, so polished, so convenient? Her live streams made her stance clear. Sitting on camera, eyes red, voice breaking, she turned grief into fury. This wasn't just commentary. It was personal. She slammed her hands on the desk, daring anyone to shut her down. She said Charlie had been under threat long before the night of the ambush, and the people around him either ignored the danger or helped cover it up. To her followers, the official story now looked like a half-truth at best, a cover-up at worst. But Candace didn't just keep the spotlight on Erica. She widened it. In one of her emotional live streams, her voice shaking with both grief and anger, she claimed Charlie's death wasn't just a family betrayal. It might have been political. According to her, billionaire Bill Amann had tried bribing Charlie to soften his stance on Israel. When Charlie refused, she alleged, the threats began. She hinted that Charlie confided in people close to him about the pressure he was under. And then she dropped the phrase that changed everything. This looks like a political hit. Those 4 words shifted the entire conversation. Suddenly, the speculation wasn't just about a widow acting suspicious. It was about power, money, and enemies far bigger than one shooter with a rifle. Was Charlie silenced because he was becoming too influential? Did his refusal to bend make him a target? And if so, was Erica simply a pawn or part of the plan? From that moment on, the theories weren't just messy, they were dangerous. If the internet was tearing Erica apart, Charlie's family was collapsing under the pressure. Reports began leaking that his parents never trusted her version of events. Behind closed doors, they allegedly cut ties, convinced she knew far more than she admitted. On the other side, some of Charlie's in-laws circled the wagons, defending her and blaming the media for turning a widow into a villain. That split inside the family was like throwing gasoline on the fire. It proved that the suspicion wasn't just coming from outsiders, it was tearing apart the people closest to Charlie. And then came the neighbors. Some claimed they'd heard screaming matches about money, others swore Erica lived like a single woman half the time. Whispers of a multi-million-dollar dispute suddenly became impossible to ignore. Old interviews resurfaced, with viewers now dissecting her tone and body language for hidden clues. Even harmless family photos got picked apart as evidence. The internet smelled blood, and every new piece of information, no matter how small, got magnified. And through it all, Candace Owens was the megaphone, making sure the entire world heard every accusation before Erica could defend herself. Candace Owens didn't step lightly into this storm, she came in swinging. When whispers about Erica began surfacing online, most public figures stayed silent, calling it too soon, too sensitive. But not Candace. She blasted the rumors wide open, taking them from backroom chatter to front-page speculation. One viral post she boosted read, "If this man's own wife set him up, every conservative who stayed silent should be ashamed." He wasn't betrayed by politics. He was betrayed by blood. He got betrayed by his pillow. That line didn't just trend, it exploded. Screenshots spread across Twitter, TikTok edits popped up within minutes, and YouTubers dissected it frame by frame. In hours, the phrase became a rallying cry. But Candace didn't stop at sharing. She turned her own grief into ammunition. While Erica gave stiff, polished statements, Candace flooded social media with personal memories of Charlie, goofy smiles, inside jokes, moments of friendship that painted him as a real human being, not just a political figure. Fans noticed the painful contrast. The heartfelt tribute came not from his wife, but from his friend. That comparison turned suspicion into outrage. For many, Candace's grief looked raw and real, while Erica's looked staged. And from that moment, the internet didn't just question Erica, it practically put her on trial. Erica Kirk. The grieving widow, or at least that's the image the public expected. But when people looked closer, cracks in that image began to spread. In the days leading up to Charlie's death, Erica went silent online. And for someone who used to post family dinners, behind-the-scenes photos, and political commentary nonstop, that sudden silence set off alarms. Then, when Charlie's death was confirmed, she stepped into the spotlight with a statement. But instead of sounding like a shattered wife, her words felt rehearsed, polished, even strategic. She spoke about America, about President Trump, about Vice President J.D. Vance. She mentioned herself and the kids. But what people couldn't ignore was what she left out: almost nothing about Charlie the man. No personal memories. No moments only a wife would know. No raw grief. Just a speech that read like a press release. And when she later posted, "You have no idea the fire you've ignited within this wife," the internet didn't rally behind her. Instead, suspicion doubled. Neighbors came forward claiming the couple fought bitterly about money. Whispers of a multi-million-dollar dispute surfaced, arguments that, until now, had never made headlines. Suddenly, Erica wasn't just seen as mourning. She was being painted as a possible accomplice. That's when Candace Owens stormed in. Catching Tyler Robinson almost didn't happen. Police weren't closing in on him with airtight evidence or elite detective work. According to reports, the only reason he's behind bars right now is because his own father turned him in. Imagine that, a father walking his own son into custody after realizing what had just happened. That detail alone made the story feel less like a spontaneous outburst and more like a carefully mapped plan gone wrong. Think about it. Robinson had military-level precision, inside information, and yet, the downfall came from his own family. That doesn't sound like chaos. That sounds like someone trying to tie up loose ends before the truth leaks out. And when investigators started asking who else might have been involved, suspicion shifted fast, straight to the one person who had unrestricted access to every single detail of Charlie's life. The night Charlie Kirk was taken out wasn't just another university speaking event. Thousands had shown up, a crowd buzzing with energy, students packed shoulder to shoulder under the big event tent. But in a split second, that excitement shattered into pure chaos. Shots rang out, people screamed, and panic rippled across the campus. At first, officials called it the act of a single angry young man, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, firing down from a rooftop. But the deeper you look, the harder it is to believe this was just random. Robinson didn't fire like some hot-headed amateur who got lucky. Witnesses who saw the footage said his aim was cold, deliberate, and precise. No hesitation. No fumbling. No shaking hands. It looked more like a mission than a meltdown. And here's where the story takes its first dark turn. The police affidavit shows Robinson somehow knew details he should never have had. Charlie's exact speaking schedule. The layout of the tent. Even the exit he was supposed to use. That's not guesswork, that's insider knowledge. Which means if Robinson wasn't working alone, someone close had to be feeding him the information. But that wasn't the last shock of the night. By now, Erica Kirk wasn't just a widow. She was trending globally as a possible conspirator. Hashtags with her name dominated Twitter. TikTok creators churned out breakdowns of her body language. YouTube was flooded with evidence, videos. But Candace wasn't content to stop with Erica. She pushed the idea of something much bigger, a network of powerful people who wanted Charlie silenced. She painted a picture of a political hit disguised as a lone wolf shooting. Meanwhile, media coverage of Tyler Robinson stayed oddly soft. No deep dives, no wall-to-wall outrage. And that imbalance raised new questions. Was the shooter being downplayed to keep the focus off something bigger? Even people who usually dismissed Candace began admitting she might be onto something. She hadn't deleted a post. She hadn't softened a single word. She was standing firm, even as critics accused her of fueling chaos. At this point, speculation wasn't fringe anymore. It was mainstream. So where does that leave us? Was Charlie Kirk's death the act of a lone 22-year-old, or the biggest betrayal in conservative politics? Was the real enemy outside his home, or sitting right beside him? The official story says justice is being served. But Candace Owens insists the truth is still buried, darker, deeper, and far more dangerous. And if she's right, what we know now isn't the ending. It's only the beginning.